welcome to Thread Therapy. This is my vlog where I talk about all the things I love about sewing, and you guys have been very patient with me because I've been AWOL for a good 2 months now, and I guess I should give an explanation really. We've been painting and decorating basically. Life's just kind of run away with me. There hasn't been a great deal of sewing. I am very much the sort of person who absolutely loves sewing. It's a passion of mine, but I just can't maintain the momentum of sewing hundreds of garments. So I'm really grateful for those of you that have subscribed and keep waiting for the content to come, because it's a bit sporadic, let's put it that way. But it's really lovely to have you here. And if you haven't yet subscribed and this is your first time, please press the notification bell, because then it will just tell you when a new video comes out and you won't have to just wait patiently for me to get my finger out. So it's Friday Sews today. This is a hashtag that was set up by Today in Jen's Sewing Room, and it's just a way of connecting with a whole bunch of people on YouTube who love sewing. So for my Friday Sews today, I've got a couple of bits of fabric to show you. I haven't really been purchasing a great deal. Like I said, I've been busy decorating the house and there hasn't been a great deal of sewing, but I have bought a few bits, so I'll show you those. And I've also made something that I talked about, which you can see behind me, so we'll chat about that. Yeah, so if that's what you're interested in, stick around. So I have been making very little, let's be honest, but I have made a Coatigan, and you can see on the dress form behind me, this is the Bianca Coatigan. I think it's made by me patterns, but if I haven't got that right, I'll pop it on the screen. This is a pattern that my mum bought some time ago with the intention of making herself a Coatigan, and never really got round to it. And I thought, well, I will have a crack at that since she's got the pattern. So I traced off my size. I think I made either the small or the extra small. Because I'd seen at the shows a couple of times when they've had stands that it comes up a bit big. The sizing, it's quite roomy. So yeah, I went for the smallest size, and I made it out of this sort of camel coloured Pontorama that I purchased from Pound Fabrics, I think. I did talk about it in the last vlog, so I think it was Pound Fabrics. And when it arrived, it wasn't quite the colour I was expecting. I thought it was more of a sort of caramel brown colour than a camel, but actually now it's made up, I'm really happy with it. It's got this lovely waterfall front. I will try and pop in some photos of me actually wearing it so you can see. But it's quite a simple construction, although the one thing that did catch me out is the back of the collar. Because it's unlined, you put it on the opposite way to what you'd expect to put it on. So you have to put so that the seam on the back of the collar sits underneath so that you can't see it. And I made that mistake and put it on the way I would have put it on if I was lining it, if you see what I mean. So other than that, the whole process went really smoothly. It's really lightweight and nice. It's not finished on the edges because it's a unlined Coatigan, so you can make this out of boiled wool or any other type of fabric, a fleece or a ponte, something that doesn't fray easily. And this is a nice sort of spring layering piece. It looks awesome with a stripy sort of Breton style skirt, and I've got a jumper that's kind of like a sort of caramelly browny colour, but a different shade to the Coatigan, and that kind of looked really nice together. So I will pop in some shots of me with the coat on so you can see, but I'm really happy with that make. It's nice for spring, it's a nice layering piece, it's not too heavy, and the fact that the coat itself is not hemmed or lined made it quite a fast make, except for it sat on the mannequin for at least 3 weeks without having the sleeves hemmed, because, you know, anyone else do that? You might notice there's another make on there. This is a skirt I was talking about making, and this isn't hemmed, but it's been finished for best part of probably 2 months since the last time I talked to you, and I just can't get round to hemming it. What is that all about? I know it's a bias cut skirt, so I did have to let it drop for a while, and the hem did go like really wavy, so I had to level it off twice, I think, to make it properly nice and sharp, but that resulted in it being a tiny bit shorter than maybe I wanted it to be. And then when you're not quite so sure, when you try these things on, whether or not you're going to wear them or not, then the sort of like the desire to crack on and get them finished kind of leaves you, doesn't it? But I will hem this skirt at some point. I'll pop in a bit of footage about it. So the pattern itself is a Newlook pattern. It's a simple bias cut skirt. It was really easy to make. The only problem with it is, you might see from the, you can probably tell from the drawings, the sides of this bias cut skirt are really A-line. More A-line than you might expect, because bias cut skirts are usually sort of quite slinky and figure hugging, aren't they? And initially I did French seams on my skirt, and that just looked horrendous. I mean, everything just puckered up. The sides of the skirt didn't fall properly. It looked awful. And there was a point where I was going to chuck it in the bin. And then I unpicked it, and I just seamed it properly, normally with an overlocker. And I think I shaved a little bit of the angle off the side of the skirt, because as it was hanging, it just looked really weird. And it still doesn't look fantastic, and I don't know whether that's me and something to do with the fabric, or whether it's just the shape, the cut of this pattern. But yeah, so I'm not going to try that one on because it's not quite finished. I do need to probably stitch the elastic. Oh, that's the other thing I did. I changed the way that the top of the skirt, they have you make a channel to feed the elastic round, and I did like an elastic facing on the top of the skirt. Because I obviously had to unpick the whole thing to take the French seams apart, and it was a saga. But yeah, so those are the two makes that I actually have almost finished and completely finished to show you today. So shall we move on to things I've been buying? Because I've only bought a few things, but you might be interested. I've got a little bit of fabric. I went down to Bournemouth, which is where our Fabricland is. There's two Fabriclands near us now. There's one in Southampton and one in Bournemouth, and I hadn't been to the Bournemouth one before. It's in a much bigger warehouse, and I picked up a couple of bits of fabric for summer for my son. So this pattern is one that I've used. It's a tried and tested. I've made at least 2 pairs of these shorts recently. I've also made the shirt once as well. It's a really great pattern. You've got lots of variations on there. For different bits and pieces to make, and he's really into his skateboarding, and so the colour blocking option might be a good one for the summer as well. But so far I've only made sort of the basic board shorts and the shirt, and I think I might have made one of the t-shirts as well, but it's a really good value for money. McCall's pattern, M6548. So I picked up a piece of this sort of grey, I guess you'd call this suiting fabric maybe. It's clearly got a bit of polyester in it, but it's a really pale grey marl colour, and it's got almost like a little bit of a sort of texture to it, and it's a little bit drapey, and it almost feels or looks a little bit like a chambray, but I think it's more of a sort of polyester mixed suiting type fabric, and it feels like it would be quite hard wearing and but flowy and sort of comfortable for a pair of summer shorts, but a little bit more smart maybe if you're going out for the day and grubby shorts just aren't gonna cut it. This kind of fabric will probably make a slightly neater, smarter pair of board shorts. So that was the first piece of fabric I bought. I think I only got a metre because he's 10, so hopefully a metre will do. So I got that. It's really inexpensive. Fabricland have inexpensive fabrics quite a lot of the time. So I also bought some denim, and this is just a mid-weight, sort of mid-blue colour denim. There's no stretch, it's just a classic denim. And I just thought a pair of classic denim shorts for the summer would be good too. Equally hard wearing, not going to get holes in the knees and things like that. So those are the 2 bits of fabrics I've purchased recently. The other really fun and exciting thing that's happened around here is we've got a hobbycraft stall, and we used to have to drive miles and miles and miles to go to a hobbycraft. and they've opened one in our town, which is really exciting. As you might imagine, the whole family has crafty and sort of like, we're all into different bits and pieces of crafting, so a hobby craft was really welcome addition to our sort of like shopping centre. So we've been down there, had a really good look around. They do some really fun stuff. They've got bead pick a mix, which is like you know, it's like sweeties for adults, but my eldest child is absolutely well into making jewellery, so is my middle child. They both love a bit of jewellery making, so we've been down there a few times and done a bead pick a mix, and you pay like £4, and you can fill your pot up with all the different selections of beads, which is really great fun. I also picked up a bit of fusible interfacing down there. Not very exciting, I know, but for bag making, they've got some squishy fusible interfacing. So I got some of that. I didn't buy any fabric, which you might be surprised about. They actually have got quite a good selection of different types of fabric in our new hobbycraft. In some hobbycrafts you go into, you tend to find more sort of quilting cottons and that kind of stuff, and not so much dressmaking fabric. But in our hobbycraft there is quite a good selection of dressmaking fabric, so I have been down there several times and had a good peruse, but nothing's really grabbed me. And I think because I don't have anything in particular that I necessarily want to make, I haven't purchased anything yet, but it's nice to know that it's there when or if I want to go and do a little bit of fabric shopping, so that's been really fun. Another couple of things I've bought recently, I bought some new bobbins for my faff machine. I got these from So Essential. I wanted to buy the actual proper sized bobbins because my faff is a really fussy machine, and it did come with I think 3 or 4 bobbins, but I had plastic bobbins from my old machine that, and you know what it's like, they all get muddled up in your sewing box, and now I don't know which are the ones that came with the machine and which are the old ones. And sometimes the machine plays up, it will sort of the needle will sort of make a funny noise when it's going in, and I wonder whether it is bobbin related. So I thought I would just go ahead and buy myself a packet of the proper bobbins for my I think it's a 620, yeah, an Ambition 620. So yeah, I just bought those. I also could not resist the new Tilly and the Buttons book, and this is a weird thing for me because my kids are pretty much out of the age range now. Well, I've got a couple of years with my son, but these patterns go from 0 to 12, and I did think to myself, do I need to buy the book, you know? But then FOMO just got to me, and also it's like when you're collecting something, I've got all of Tilly's other books. I absolutely love them. I think they're the patterns I've probably made the most. In fact, I'm wearing, I should have said that at the beginning of the video, this is a Tabitha t-shirt that I made recently from the Tilly and the Buttons book. And I absolutely love this t-shirt. I put this vinyl design on the front using my Cricut machine, and yeah, so this is a Tabitha t-shirt. So I absolutely love Tilly and the Buttons patterns, and I thought, oh, she's releasing a new book. And when she first announced it was a kid's book, there was, I'm not going to lie, there was a part of me that was like, oh. Because, you know, when your children are little, you absolutely, I mean, I did, absolutely love making them clothes. But when they get to a certain age, they start to, well, not all kids, but my kids think it's a bit naff, to be fair, that you know, some things are absolutely fine. Like my son will quite happily wear shorts that I've made, t-shirts that I've made him. But the girls in particular, they have very specific ideas about what they will and won't wear. And often if it's a handmade thing, it's maybe something that they're not so keen on. Which is a shame really, because, you know, handmade clothes are sometimes better than shop bought clothes because they fit better. But, you know, what can you do? They're teenagers. So my kids are now 16, 12 and 10. So this book goes 0 to 12. So my 10-year-old maybe might get a couple of years out of this. But then I was thinking, you know what, I've got nieces, I've got nephews, you know, friends, people have babies. Could I justify it? Absolutely. So I did. I bought it just to add to the collection really. And there are some really, really lovely patterns in here. Like I said, a lot are not suitable for my kids anymore. You know, the cutesy sweatshirts with the bears on and all of that kind of stuff. I'd have been all over that a few years ago when they were younger. I'll just show you a pattern, because I absolutely loved making this sort of thing for my kids when they were tiny. But the basic pattern will be perfect to use. So my youngest will wear a sweatshirt, no problem at all. So I can make these patterns up, but just maybe not put the embellishments on them. But the girls are probably less keen. I mean, they might wear the pyjamas that are in here. So I did suggest, see if I can find it, the Juno pyjamas, which I've made myself a couple of times, which are really, really comfortable. I did say to the girls, oh, well, if I could, you know, I could make us some of those. And, you know, you don't wear pyjamas out the house, so maybe they'd be up for that. That's the way, isn't it, when you're looking for something in a hurry. Bear with. Here they are, the Juno pyjamas. So you can see they're sort of quite a tight-fitting leggings style bottom and t-shirt. And everybody needs pyjamas, don't they? And you can go all out with fabric for pyjamas because you're not going to go out of the house wearing them. So I think, if anything, I might be able to persuade the girls to wear some of those if I made them. And then probably for my son, the t-shirt, the sweatshirt, potentially the jacket maybe. But anyway, I just felt like I needed to have it because I've got all the other Tilly and the Buttons books. Does that make sense? Probably not. I'm going to stop waffling now and we'll move on. So the final bit of Friday Says is usually where I just round up all the things that I've been enjoying or listening or watching lately. Just, you know, because it's kind of fun sometimes to share that sort of thing. I really love a podcast. I've talked about podcasts that I like previously, but I find it's really good when you're busy doing something else that you can be entertaining yourself listening to a story at the same time. So I absolutely loved the Uncanny podcast, which is a sort of ghosty, supernatural type podcast. And I listened to all of those, sort of binged them whilst I was hoovering and painting the hallway and all of that sort of stuff. And he's just released a new series, which is Stories from America. So if you like a good ghosty, supernatural, kind of creepy, they do question whether it's possible, real or not, that it could actually have happened. So there is a bit of a balance in there. They're not saying this definitely happened. It's a bit of it's just a fun thing to listen to. So if you're into creepy stuff, I can recommend that one. The other podcast that I've been really enjoying is The Trial. So a couple of journalists from the Daily Mail decided to follow the Lucy Letby trial quite closely, and they released podcasts at the same time as the trial was going on, which was a really brave thing to do at the time, because clearly if you could jeopardize a trial that's happening in real time by releasing information. But equally, as the general public, we have a right to be present and listen in court, and not many of us do that, do we? We don't show up and, you know, sit there and listen, but you have the right to do that. So this is a way of reporting what's happening. It's a really factual, fascinating, sort of balanced oversight of what is going on in court at the same time as the trial's going on. And I've really enjoyed listening to those ones. I think there's been at least 4 or 5 different trials now that they've covered. So I can recommend that if you're interested in crime and law and order and that sort of thing. And then the last thing I was going to chat about was a programme I've been watching. And I don't know whether this is everyone's cup of tea. Some of you might have seen it, some of you might not have seen it. It is really hard hitting, and the subject matter, it stays with you for quite a long time. But Baby Reindeer, I watched that. It's about a woman who basically is mentally unwell and stalks a man, and it's based on true events. And it is in equal parts fascinating and terrifying and shocking and not for everybody. There are very graphic scenes in it which do stay with you after you've seen it. So just exercise caution. If it's not something that you think that you need to watch or want to watch, then don't bother, because yeah, If it's not your cup of tea, I wouldn't even try. But I found it fascinating, really, and everybody was talking about it. So one afternoon, or over the course of a couple of afternoons, I binged it, and yeah, shocking. Have you seen it? Did you enjoy it? Did you think, gosh, I wish I hadn't watched that afterwards? Or yeah, anything I've talked about today, if you want to drop me a comment below, I'd love to have a chat with you about stuff. It's nice to connect with people. And I think that's really all I've got to talk about today. Sorry for it being quite short and sweet, I think. But, you know, 2 months, there's not been a great deal of sewing going on, but it's been lovely to chat to you today. And if you would like to subscribe, please press the like button and click the bell below. And I'll see you for the next one, whenever that may be. See you later. Bye.